570 AM KLIF.
The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the fifth floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Welcome to your Sunday morning, Sunday, June 5th. Hey, come on in, stay a while. Time for Inside Real Estate, sports and entertainment, and politics, and whatever else we decide to talk about. Mike Kruizinga here, your local host and local Dallas-Fort Worth Realtor. Come on in, stay a while. Hey, we got a great and exciting show for you today. Hey, later in the show, we're going to be talking to Bill Wayburn, the likely new Tarrant County Sheriff. And for all intents and purposes, he's pretty much got it all locked up. He took care of the runoff, and he doesn't have anybody opposing him on the Democratic side coming up in the general, although there is right now somebody in the Libertarian spot that he's going to have to face off against. But Tarrant County is, by and large conservative and Republican, so probably going to have that all locked up. And so anyway, we're going to be talking to Bill Wayburn about the lawn race and also getting through the runoff later in the show. So he's going to be calling in, and so I'm excited to be talking to him. One heck of a guy. Looking forward to that. Also on the show, our resident expert in insurance, Richard Tonica from the Goosehead Insurance Agency. We're going to be talking to him about insurance. So, hey, if you've got calls about home, auto, life, anything like that in the insurance world, feel free to give us a call a little bit later in the show. Call-in number, by the way, 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF. So give us a shout for that a little bit later. And, hey, folks, don't forget the website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. You can connect with myself. You can bounce over to my real estate website, DFWMetroplexRealEstate.com. And can connect with all of our partners as well. We've got plenty of social media for you, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all that jazz. By the way, all the stories that we talk about are linked on our Pinterest page. We've got a Pinterest page for every single show, so you can connect there. And then, of course, you can catch all the archive shows, archive interviews from the website. And we'd ask you to maybe subscribe on the YouTube channel as well, so you can always get those right away. So what's going on out there in the world? Let's go into a little bit of headlines. And, it's National Throw Your Baby into the Gorilla Pit Month, by the way, just so you know. So if you're looking to get rid of one of your kids, go to the local gorilla pit and toss them in. Did you hear about that story that recently happened up in Cincinnati? Poor Harambe. Somebody decided to throw their kid into the gorilla pit, and, who gets to pay for it? The gorilla. It's a sad thing, and, it was weird. You saw the gorilla sort of dragging the child around, but you almost didn't get the sense that he was trying to hurt the child. And, the zoo officials, obviously in an impossible position, obviously had to, put the gorilla down. That was just kind of unfortunate. But, how does the kid get into these pits? And this stuff happens from time to time. I don't know. Just
between that and people falling off cruise ships, it's.
Yeah,
I don't see how that happens.
I don't either. How did your kid get anywhere close to being just thrown into the gorilla pit? Beyond me. I think let's throw the parents in there. But anyway, let's move on to the next story. Hey, did you hear about this? By the way, tomorrow, we talk about this day in history. Tomorrow is the anniversary of D-Day invasion, and so President Obama is deciding to have over the Denver Broncos tomorrow. And so as soon as that was announced, the ever outspoken Kurt Schilling, baseball great, decided to just get out there and get on this. And he was just yelling at Mr. President and saying, what in the heck is he doing over there? Why would you do that? Why are you disrespecting the veterans that way, et cetera, et cetera? So he actually called into Blaze Radio and talked to Buck Sexton on the air. And then, of course, he sort of ranted on Facebook and Twitter. And so if you want to look for that story, you can see what Kurt Schilling had to say, and he gave it to President Obama big time. And you know what? I have to say, I kind of agree. It's bad, it's bad timing. Why would the president not be doing something related to D-Day instead of, having over the Broncos, have the Broncos over on another day. Speaking of social media, make sure you're careful about what you're saying on social media, folks. We had a lady working for Bank of America out there. I don't know if you saw this, but she was fired recently. She went on a bit of a racist rant on Facebook, and, you could tell she was just frustrated, and but she was fired. She works for Bank of America, and just goes to show, folks, what you do in your personal life when it comes to Facebook, Twitter, that sort of thing. Your employer may not allow that line to stay in between, your private and your personal life and business, and they may decide to just fire you. And sure enough, that's what happened right here. Of course, if you say something on Facebook, Twitter, or anything, they're going to, and somebody takes offense to it, of course, they're going to have to go see where you work and then make a stink out of it and get you fired. Now, I just don't know. You got to be careful with that. Why would you say things like that on Facebook anyway? I mean, the lady was clearly got some issues. She said some heavy duty things. She's clearly probably a racist. We're not judging her, but, I don't like to judge anybody, but got to watch what you say out there, people. That's just crazy.
Exactly. If you said that straight to a customer, you would have all those issues to begin with. Saying it on social media is no different. You've got to be cognizant and know that anytime that you put something out there in public, especially on something on social media, it can be recorded or screen copied or anything, and it's there forever. Don't put anything out there that you don't want to represent you forever. Yeah,
absolutely. And clearly she was looking to make some sort of statement, but I'm guessing she didn't think she was going to get fired. But, I understand, a lot of times with teachers and police and civil servants, I understand that. But when you work for a private company, I don't know, it's getting into a very scary gray area. Aside whatever you say, you could say the most worst, heinous, horrible things, but that if it's in your personal life, does that really carry over to business? Should you be fired for that? I mean, it's a question, aside from what she said, it could have been somebody just said they hated the Cowboys, well, you know what? You should be fired. I'm a lifelong Cowboys fan, aside from what they say. I don't know. It's tough. Let's move on. We got other topics to hit real quick. Hillary Clinton, you know what she said, the latest and greatest here. She said, we can't trust Trump with the nuclear codes. And I'm like, okay, really? This from who's going to be taking that 3:30 in the morning call, and when there's an emergency, and she's going to be looking for Bill. And, of course, Bill's not going to be sleeping right next beside her, is he? She's going to have to probably email Bill on her gmail.com account. And, hey, where are the nuke codes, by the way, Bill? And, of course, that's going to be out there. And, of course, he'll email her back on her gmail.com account, so it's easily hackable. And,
no, he'll just tell her that she left it in her briefcase on the front seat of a car.
That's right. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I tell you, some of the stuff. Hey, by the way, speaking of Trump, Vicente Fox, president of Mexico, has said, hey, I will debate Trump, he said, I will come to America and I will debate Trump. Obviously, he's not a big fan of Trump because of the things that Trump said, earlier on, but Trump says a lot of things. And he said he'll debate him at no charge. So that was pretty interesting. Of course, he admits that, he said no contact with Trump or Trump campaign, but, just inserting himself into our American politics, which I'm not a big fan of. But, being... I guess we can't be hypocritical about it, though, because the U.S. Sticks its nose in foreign politics all the time, doesn't it? So I guess we have to just allow that. What else is going on? What other stories we got here? Hey, okay, this was here closer to home, folks. I don't know if you heard about this story, but the New Orleans Pelicans, the NBA player, the rookie Bryce Deshaun Jones, passed away. He was shot and killed here in Dallas recently as he was breaking into an apartment. And this was a really weird story. There's a lot of things, kind of going back and forth about this, but from what I've been able to piece together about it was, from what I hear, is his girlfriend had an apartment in that complex, and he had come to see the girlfriend and the baby, and saw them. They got in a fight. He left. He came back later and evidently went to the wrong apartment, and I was knocking on the door, got no answer, kicked down the front door, and then it's kind of there's different details on whether he was shot after he broke down the front door or if it was actually the door of a bedroom of the actual apartment owner. And the apartment owner shot and killed. He was pronounced dead later at the hospital. But, what a tragic story. I guess, you're breaking into the wrong apartment, but it was... thought he was trying to get into an apartment with where the girlfriend was. And, of course, just a real tragic story. We hate to see something like that. But, hey, the apartment owner was not playing around, thought somebody was breaking in, had no idea, shot and killed. So, tragic story. Folks, you know what? We're going to take a short break, then we're going to come on back inside Real Estate Mike Kruizinga.
If you use a free credit monitoring service, you may think it will also protect your identity. But what you may not realize is that some free credit monitoring services feel free to sell your personal information. And that's a big price to pay. At LifeLock, we would never, ever sell your personal information. Instead, we help to protect you from identity theft by using proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a wide range of potential threats. And in the event that we discover a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to resolve it. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock helps to protect you without selling your information. Remember, free credit monitoring can cost you your personal information. LifeLock memberships start at just $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. And now you can get 10% off a LifeLock membership. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code NEWS. LifeLock.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today. For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Mike Kruizinga. We're back. Inside Real Estate website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. You want to give us a shout, 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF. We're going to get into some insurance talk. And by the way, you've got questions for Richard Tonica of Goosehead Insurance. We are going to take those calls. Home, auto, toys, motorcycle. Hey, oh my God. We finally got some sun today. And, you guys, I'm a Harley rider myself, and I'm not getting out today because I'm heading pretty much straight to the airport and getting out of town. But we haven't had much sun to be riding, and so for you guys and gals that are going to get out there and enjoy the motorcycles today, motorcycle insurance isn't cheap. And, well, actually, I take that back. It is pretty reasonable.
Yes, it is.
But the policies aren't very good, was what I was going to say, because we have so many, accessories. We have to be careful about that. And you could take care of that.
Yes, you got to make sure that you get a policy with OEM original parts.
Parts, yeah, and all the accessories, because we accessorize our MCs big time, and then often put more into them that way than anything else. Folks, by the way, we're talking to Richard Tonica of Goosehead Insurance, and his phone number, 817-286-2002. All your insurance needs, give him a call, 817-286-2002. And feel free to give us a call if you want to ask him anything online. I believe we've got a pair of Rangers tickets here to give away. So, call in, talk to Richard, and, snag a pair of Rangers tickets as well. By the way, these are going to be Rangers tickets to the outdoor stadium that's sitting right there right now. No air-conditioned stadium future tickets. No. Well, Richard, how's it going today?
It's going fantastic. Thank you for having me here today. I've enjoyed it.
Good to have you, and looking forward to having you as a regular part of the show. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your company and what you're doing and how you can help everybody out there.
Well, when I meet people, I tell everybody there are two things that you can do. You can call an 800 number, which obviously I wouldn't advise.
No,
because you're not going to have going through an 800 number. You're never going to have that relationship, and that's what this really is a relationship between your agent and the customer. And I try to get to know each and every one of my customers. That way, I'm making sure that I give you the right policy at the right price. I mean, we all have a budget, and I mean, we all want the best policy that we can absolutely get.
Right.
But we also all have a budget also.
Sure.
And so there are different risks. I mean, everything is a bit of going back and forth, making sure that I understand exactly what your needs are and what your budget is, and offering you the best options.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I'm able to do that is I don't have just one carrier. I have over 20 different carriers that I shop you with. And so this year, Company A may be your best option. Next year, we'll shop you again, and Company B may be your best option. I don't have any allegiances to the carriers. I have a fiduciary right or responsibilities to them, but my ultimate goal is to make sure that my customers are taken care of. And I do that by being able to offer them a wide range of different products and from different carriers. And by getting to know them, I understand what their needs are. And you really have to ask all the questions and to get to understand what the needs are.
Yeah, absolutely. I know business very well, and your business model with Goosehead is honestly a no-brainer. Look, folks, you could go to, Company A, and guess what? Company A wants to put you in Company A's box and sell you what they have. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when you go to Richard, he shops the 20 plus companies for you, and he can, mix and match. He can take you and put you with one company for your homeowner's policy, but maybe auto is better somewhere else, and still give you that bundle discount.
Exactly.
And so he doesn't have to put all of your policies with just one group. He's got that flexibility. You need to go to any other company, and they don't have that flexibility.
Exactly. And every company, like you said, I mean, it's not a one size fits all.
No, it's not.
And so there may be different options, different endorsements that you need on your particular house that Company A may not have, or they may have extra endorsements that you don't want, but they can't do anything about it. Normally, when you're dealing with a single company, there's only two things that they can do if you're looking to save money on your rate. They can either reduce the coverage that you're being offered, or they can increase your deductibles. Neither one of them are very attractive options for customers.
No, not at all. Not friendly at all.
No, not at all. and anyone that, all of us that have gone through and had a claim with all these hailstorms that we've had recently really understands where your deductible is and why it's so important. And so going through there, talking about this with the customers, I make sure that I teach as much as I can. That way people understand, or my customers understand exactly what they're getting. That I'm their partner. I'm in this with them, because I'm going to be the second or third call that they make on a very bad day.
Yeah, absolutely.
To make sure, and I don't want to sit up there and have to tell someone, you know what, we didn't have this coverage because we wanted to save $50.
Right.
Or $100. And because at the end of the day, that $50 or $100, when you're looking at thousands and thousands of dollars, isn't really going to matter.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, when you need insurance, you want to make sure you've got it. And, look, insurance isn't something that we necessarily look at all the time, but you want to have the best policy and, at the best price as well. But, sometimes those two things coincide, and then sometimes you need to pay a little bit more for more protection. But it just depends on your situation. But the nice thing about what you can do is that you've got so much flexibility with the companies that you work with, the companies that you shop. It's just going to give the consumer more options. And, you combine that with the fact you're local. And, look, folks, you want to work with somebody who's local and in the neighborhood. And, why do you want to deal with some 800 number and who knows where they're at? They may not even be in this country, for crying out loud. We don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're going to customer service, who knows what you're going to get. So, dial that 800 number. You'd be lucky to get to somebody at some point anyway. Once you go through 5 rounds of automated this, that, and the other, and then you give them all your information just to finally get somebody, and they ask you for all the same information you gave them 10 times automatedly anyway.
And, I mean, I've done the 800 number in the past myself. I'm not going to lie. I've done that. And getting through and talking to, I have person A tell me one thing, call back, and I do exactly what they say. I think everything's being taken care of. Call back. Can't talk to person A. I got to talk to person B, and I have to run through everything all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and person A was in Phoenix, and person B is in New York City. New York City.
And so, calling me or calling my service team, it's going to be the same person that you're talking to all the time because we're here to take care of you.
Yeah. You're located right here in Arlington, right in the center of the Metroplex. You handle all the Metroplex and Texas as well, right?
Yes. Anywhere in the state of Texas that you want to insure, I'm available.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have listeners listening all the way down to Austin, out to East Texas, and all the way up to Red River. So, anywhere, we've got a wide listening area. And so if you're listening in any of those areas and you're thinking about, hey, I got some toys that need to get covered, I need a new policy, give Richard a call. You're definitely going to want to talk to him, and he's going to take care of you. He's a good guy. And he's going to care about you. You know what? And he's the type of guy that's going to just give you a call randomly and say, hey, how's it going? And the 800 number is not going to call you.
No.
Unless, of course, you missed your policy payment. Then the 800 number will call you nonstop. How you can reach Richard, folks, 817-286-2002. And if you want to talk to us right now, you can, 888-787-KLIF. We've got a couple of Rangers tickets to give away, so if you want to holler at us, give us a shout. Let's talk a little bit more about you and why folks want to go with the Goosehead.
Well, aside from having that personal touch and knowing your agent, my whole thing is to make sure that you have the best policy at the best price. Unlike the carriers, I want to keep your rate absolutely as low as possible.
They want to go the opposite way.
Exactly.
Have we ever gotten an insurance bill and then the price went down? No. Our policies always go up. So, distinguishing factor here.
Yes.
Richard does the opposite for you.
I work diligently to make sure that I am doing the absolute best that I can to make sure that you're saving as much money always. Not just the first year or the second year. I want you to be a customer for life. And so I work hard to make sure that you've got the best policy at the best price. But I always say it in that order, because it doesn't matter how much you're saving if you're getting a bad policy. So the first thing that we concentrate on is the coverage and the policy that you have or that I'm offering you. And then we talk about prices. There are certain risks that I'm willing to take on my insurance policy that you may not be, or it may be the exact opposite, that you're willing to take risks that I'm not willing to. And so that's where getting in and getting to know you, I understand your needs, your wants, and why you are looking at this particular kind of policy. I don't have any preconceived notions for anyone that I deal with on, oh no, this is what you need. I have to understand you in order to understand what your needs are. And then on top of that is going through and dealing with the different carriers, knowing who's going to be best for your situation, who's usually going to offer the best prices for your situation, and then bundling, because like you said, if you've got toys, if you've got flood policy, home, auto, life, commercial, flood policies, all that stuff I can offer you. And it's not just one company for each, it's multiple companies for each different product type. And so when I'm shopping your life insurance, I'm not just shopping 1, 2, or 3 different carriers. It's just like doing home, where I'm shopping over 20 different carriers for your life policy. So I'm going to be able to offer you the best price for those policies as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's really looking at the big picture of how everything fits together, because what you really don't want to have is you're overinsured over here, but you're underinsured over here. And so by placing it with me, we're able to look at all the different categories that where you need insurance, which, let's face it, we all have to have insurance. There's no getting around it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so dealing with one person, they're able to map out a plan and show you exactly, I'm able to show you exactly why I've chosen the things that I've chosen. And that's through our conversations and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's their policy. So I'm going to do whatever they want me to do. I'll just explain to them why I set it up the way I've set it up, and the advantages and disadvantages of setting it up that way, because there's always give and take with everything.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, it takes, for some of our listeners out there, it may be a perspective change, because, they may be stuck with, the same insurance company that their parents were with. Their parents were with State Farm, and so they're with State Farm, and they've just, that's all there is to it. There's no switching around, it's like, other products, your dad used Barbasol shaving cream, son used Barbasol, and never thought about changing, never even thought about it at all. Those types of things, those types of perspectives exist. And so maybe, parents were with Allstate, and they just keep going with Allstate. Folks, it's a different world out there now, okay? It's totally different. If you want to stay in one little box and think that little box fits everybody in the nation, well, okay. Okay with your small little perspective there. But wouldn't you want someone who can shop all the companies behind the scenes? Okay, these are the companies that are behind the scenes that do the underwriting internationally, all over the place. These aren't companies that you can go to. You can't just search online and say, I can go find this company that Richard has access to. You might be able to find information about them, but you can't go to them direct.
And even if they could, I'm able to offer, by being a Goosehead agent and having my agency, I'm able to offer discounts that that the companies don't let an average or just any other independent agency offer. We do such high volume that we're able to offer better discounts for our customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, the companies that you can shop behind the scenes, people do not have access to them, and to get them best policies, best deals. I don't think anybody's ever come to Goosehead and said they didn't get a better policy and probably a better rate, because they were stuck with whoever they were stuck with, and they were probably stuck with them for a long time. The rates probably went up and up and up, and certainly didn't go down. And it's a no-brainer, folks. I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah. Just give me a call, and I'll do my absolute best to give you the best policy at the best price.
Absolutely. Folks, we're talking with Richard Tonica, Goosehead Insurance Agency, right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in the heart of the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Arlington. You can reach him at 817-286-2002, 817-286-2002. Home, auto, life, toys. Otherwise, give Richard a call, and he's going to be a regular part of the show right here inside Real Estate. And folks, hey, we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come on back, and guess who we got on the show? We got Bill Wayburn on the show. Folks, come on back. See you in a few.
Do you know the difference between a business and a successful business? Excellent branding. You can increase your sales and branding recognition by attending the 1-hour free Cumulus Radio Branding Seminar, June 8th. You'll learn the 4 keys of branding, how to use trigger events to drive business, and how to market your business. You'll even get a free lunch. To join us, call 214-523-2760. That's 214-523-2760.
What is it about buying a mattress that leaves you feeling violated? Is it the pushy salespeople, the fake President's Day sale, or the fact that you know you'll regret what you bought as you do the walk of shame out of the mattress store? I'm here to tell you, those days are over. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, co-founder of Helix Sleep, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to helixsleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we create your custom sleep profile to build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Your mattress will arrive at your door in about a week, and shipping is 100% free. You have 100 nights to try it out, and if you don't love it, we'll pick it up for free and give you a 100% refund, no questions asked. It's like it never happened. If you do love your new Helix mattress, keep it, and your dignity. That's why everyone from GQ Magazine to Forbes are all talking about Helix Sleep. Go to helixsleep.com/talkradio and get $50 off your order. That's helixsleep.com/talkradio.
Folks, it's Mike the Realtor here from Inside Real Estate. And if you're not listing your property with me, bottom line is you're leaving money on the table. There are over 15,000 agents here in the DFW area, most of whom are part-time and do a few deals a year. Do you want to trust them to sell your home? I think not. Call Mike the Realtor, the radio realty expert from Inside Real Estate on 570 AM KLIF. Promise you will get to me direct. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Don't sell your home with just anyone. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com and connect with Mike the Realtor.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, we are back inside real estate, sports, entertainment, politics. Mike Kruizinga here, your host. We are back. How we doing? Hey, time for a local politics segment. On the line, we have Bill Wayburn on the line. Bill, are you with us?
I am with you. Thank you for having me this morning, Mike.
Well, we really appreciate it. Folks out there, we've got the former 30-plus year Dow Worthington Gardens police chief on the line, Bill Wayburn, just won the runoff in the race for Tarrant County Sheriff. And, wow, it's been a long run. You had the runoff plus the regular election. It's been a long, long run. So congratulations.
Thank you. And it was a long, long run. That was we didn't think that campaign was ever going to end, but here we are, and we're blessed to be here.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. And I mean, it looks like it's pretty much all but locked up. I do believe you still have a libertarian to knock out later in the year. Is that right?
That is correct. We do have a libertarian on the ballot, and we will gear up and take nothing for granted and run hard.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. No Democrat on the ticket to go against. You get that lib. Tarrant County, by and large, conservative, Republican. I think it should be a no-brainer. And but I tell you, a long run, and it ain't over yet. And but I tell you, as a former marketing guy, I mean, I appreciate. I was in international marketing, ran campaigns all over the place. I can appreciate what an excellent campaign you put together. And of course, but any campaign's got to have, that person behind it, which is you. And you are one heck of a personality. That's for sure.
Well, you're very kind. I had an incredible team around me, and David McClellan was my chief of staff, and he just did an awesome job. And of course, I had some great consultants, and of course, my wife and Laura, and just a wonderful team of advisors around me that just kept pushing and said, let's do this, and this, and I went and did it. I marched to that drummer. But, I can't take credit for all that. It was a great campaign strategy, but it was put together by several people who called the ball right.
Yeah, absolutely. The incumbent Dee Anderson was in since 2001. And, you went after him pretty hard. And, it seemed to me like I love some of the things that you said, and you just seemed like – you seem like, a lot of folks that run for office, no matter whether it be sheriff or any other type of office, oftentimes they don't seem to be like us, the folks. And it just seems like you are like one of us. And oftentimes in law enforcement, even more so, we find that, that person is not necessarily like us, but it seemed like you really are. You know, you're a gun rights advocate, and not only looking to be the best you can be in that position, but also looking out for us, the folks, as well.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and I hope to be one of us. And I think that our basic civil liberties got to be on the ground and working right, and that's got to be well respected. And law enforcement. The law enforcement world, when I talk to law enforcement, and a lot of times out there on midnight shift, that hardworking police officer or deputy is out there, or jailer in this case, and they're just dealing with the 2% of the people that we have difficult times with. And they don't get to see a lot of the 98% of the people, such as good hardworking people like yourself, that are doing great and making America great and keeping us conservative here. They don't get to see that. So they get this jaded attitude, and they do get distance sometimes. And I see one of my things to do is to bring that gap together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're 100% right, and I appreciate that. And, of course, the same can be said on the other side, too. You know, I mean, the public is bombarded, by YouTube videos and all kinds of bad media and bad press, for law enforcement. And so but by and large, the vast majority of law enforcement are good, hardworking men and women, looking to just do their job and do the right thing as well. So I love that. Let's talk. One of the things I saw that I really appreciated on one of your videos was you had said, when you swear in officers, you give them a copy of the Constitution. And
that is correct.
I just love that. Tell us about that.
Well, that's something I started many, many years ago, is that, that's after the Bible, as far as a document of man created, that's probably one of the top one or two. And it happens to be what we need to do. And what I want to remind people of is that when they swear in and take that oath of office, they're not swearing allegiance and loyalty to a person. They're swearing allegiance and loyalty to this country and that document, the Constitution of the United States. And what they got to remember above all is that regardless of who's in the chain of command, we've got to be in that guidelines of the United States Constitution. And that goes back to respecting your Fourth Amendment rights and your Fifth Amendment rights and making sure those are in place in order for the system to work well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like it was so important that they touch that document at that moment in history when they take that oath of office. So, because I think those oaths, a lot of people brush over the top of them. Hey, it's no big deal. You say a few words, la-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's a big deal, and it should be celebrated like birthdays and anniversaries.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I thought that was huge, and we need more of that. And I think oftentimes that, in some cases that is forgotten about, at all levels, and even in particular in law enforcement sometimes. And so I was extremely appreciative of that. Let's talk about Tarrant County in particular for a little bit. Obviously we've got the jail. There's about 1,600 employees, going to be a budget of around $120 million or so. We've got courthouse security, patrol. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that maybe folks don't know that the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office handles and manages.
Well, there are some things that go on behind the scenes, and one of them that from day to day that is extremely dangerous or can be dangerous is their warrant teams. There's 20-plus officers every day going out and serving warrants of the court. And those warrants can be, of course, felony warrants. They can be in high misdemeanors. But any time that you're serving a warrant on somebody, one is you're taking freedom away from somebody, so that's a serious situation. But two is it can be extremely violent if you're not careful. And so that's something that they do, and they do, they've done a pretty fair job of it. There's some ideas that I have to improve that, to make sure that they have the training and the tools to increase that efficiency and effectiveness.
Absolutely. And one of the things I did not know this. I mean, when I was doing research for this segment, I didn't know that there was a narcotics division, for example, in the sheriff's office. I thought that was handled, at the other police departments. But the sheriff's office actually made a heck of a lot of arrests. I was just looking at the numbers from the last year, and there's like nearly 500 narcotics arrests and a heck of a lot of vehicles and weapons and cash seized and narcotics seized. And so that's a whole nother division we didn't even know about. That's
right. And the Tarrant County Narcotic Task Force is in place. And what that is that's a great collaboration that has been going on since the late 80s. That when I was a young police chief, that we brought together, not I, but I was part of a great team that brought together the Tarrant County Narcotic Task Force, and that's made up of several cities, so that all the I's are getting dotted, and that's in one of those places that, Tarrant County did it right long before 9/11, is that they were connecting the dots, that all the police agencies were talking to each other about drug dealers that were, drug dealers that pay no attention to city limit signs, and they roam all over the county and sometimes outside of the county and do their business. So that task force has been effective, and it's just recently transferred to the sheriff's department. So it's kind of got a new beginning there, and I'm anxious to empower those guys and make sure that they have their tools and that they know that they have the support of the sheriff to go out and do the job to keep the drugs off the street. Because a lot of people, in that one little segment, is methamphetamine is always a threat to us, but also in the narcotics trade that Mexico's making a cheaper heroin, and it's coming up. And along with that comes the sex trafficking and the human trafficking and all of these other things that come along with that. It's in that same pipeline. So it's a very important unit that I believe that we do need to support, and I applaud the cities that continue to be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. I mean, narcotics is just the start of so much other criminal activity, and the absolute flood of narcotics that are coming in from down south is astounding, and the little piece of it that we do capture is really just a drop in the bucket. And I would love to see at the national level somebody get serious, about the drug war, but there's just so many components to it, and it's so complicated. I don't know if we're ever going to get it under control, but we've got to do everything we can, that's for sure.
Well, people often forget that also that's what's using that same pipeline is going to be the people, the terrorists that are coming into our country. It's the same pipeline that a lot of those people are coming through, and that's another good reason to step up all of that enforcement in that arena. Yeah,
you're right, it is. And I almost feel like, the terrorism is almost the excuse to maybe crack down more on narcotics. And, somebody's had to have been under a rock and in a coma for the last 30 years if they haven't seen how bad the drug problem is coming across the border. But I don't know what we can do. It's one heck of a problem, that's for sure.
It really is, and I think that one is if we keep the line of communications open between agencies and also to the people and the citizens. We need the citizens involved in this so that we have transparency and they're talking to us about where they see that problem pop up, and if they share with us where those problems are popping up, we can respond to them a lot quicker and get that issue shut down and just continue to cut off avenues of approach. And where it makes it more difficult for those people in that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's bring it back a little more local here. Let's say, I know that among the ranks, in the sheriff's office, for a few years now, morale has kind of been down a little bit, and there was, some frustration, that was going on. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and, kind of the behind the scenes a little bit as to, what you can share as far as what was going on and why the officers, the sheriff's deputies were getting frustrated over the past few years internally?
Well, I can, and I got it directly from their mouths, and that's an opportunity to speak of, the greatest group down there is the confinement officers, and a lot of times those are unsung heroes in the community. We don't see what they do and we don't hear what they do, but they are literally the ones that are keeping evil off the streets and making sure that we're safe at night. The patrol officers are out there doing a great job, but, we got to have the keeper of the jail, and they are the keepers of the jail. And in talking to them is that Tarrant County, unfortunately, has had a high turnover rate. And a lot of times that morale circling the drain when they don't feel like they have the support of the command staff, or they don't feel like they have the tools to do their job. There's a small sliver in there that can be pay. People said, oh, you're going to raise pay. I think our pay should be competitive, but that wasn't my main focus. My main focus is environment, and an environment where people are appreciated and supported. And a lot of those guys just don't feel like they're appreciated nor supported down there, and that creates a spirit of fear. And when you have a spirit of fear trying to do your job, that hey, I'm going to make a decision here that I've got less than a second to make it, but my bosses are going to crucify me. That brings up hesitation and frustration. And so that's a lot of things that were going on in the SO, is that they didn't know, they felt like that they were going to be harshly treated if they wavered, or they just stepped a little bit off to the left of center, and that they were going to be hammered really, really hard. And they didn't know if they were going to be supported or not. And I think that created that morale issue.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, you have to have the support of your superiors, and far more important, in law enforcement than it is just in business, obviously, because in law enforcement you have to make split-second decisions that can be life or death, and you've got to have the backing of your superiors. And so I can absolutely understand, morale issues are far more of an issue. When you talk about morale issues, people necessarily, what is that? What's going on? Somebody just unhappy with somebody that can't get along. But when you're talking about it in law enforcement, it's an entirely different story. It's actually very serious. We think about it more because most of us are in corporate America, but those folks in law enforcement, morale is a big deal. You've got to have the backing of your superiors and feel like you're in a comfortable environment, and that, look, making those split-second decisions, you're going to do the right thing, you're backed up, you've got the right training, much more serious in law enforcement.
I couldn't agree with you more, and that's something we hope to bring to the table, is some very dynamic, good training for them. And also, we're going to be down in the trenches. And as I said during the campaign, is that I plan to lead in the front. So I'm going to be down there with them and be a part of some of those split-second decisions, and letting them know that, hey, you know what, life is difficult, and if you try to stay, as I say, between the ditches, and sometimes you do waver off just a level, but if it's a mistake of the head, we can correct that and get them back in line and press on and bring about the most efficient, effective services in Tarrant County. And, I very, very clearly is I expect high expectations out of the troops, and there's no reason that shouldn't be the best sheriff's department in Texas.
Absolutely. I want to get your opinion on something. Let's local topic here in the state that, in sports and in law enforcement, the whole Baylor issue. And, for the folks out there, by the way, Art Briles was fired. The 2013 Big 12 Coach of the Year, Art Briles, was fired. Ken Starr, former prosecutor in the Clinton scandals, of course, was the president. He's gone. Jim Grobe is the new head coach down there from Wake Forest. But the big issue, down at Baylor, the sexual assaults, sexual misconduct, potential rape. Now, this type of conduct's been going on at universities all around the nation. This is a law enforcement issue, really. This is not a university issue. Now, obviously, they have policies, they have procedures they have to deal with separately, but why is this happening on campuses, Bill? And, what can we do? What's your perspective on this? What can we do to change the atmosphere on campuses, universities across the nation, where there's not an environment where sexual assault is going on? I mean, what the heck is going on?
Well, I think that, and some of this is speculation, of course. Some of it I know people is that, some of these kids get away from home and they think some values and rules go away. And for whatever reason, they're away from the parents and some of these things, they want to spread their wings and try different things. I think that if we take our blinders off for a moment on these universities and campuses and incoming freshmen, if you will, and maybe remind them once a year, is on the front end of it is having the kids, if you will, understand that this is an issue, and they need to stand up and report it, that they do not need to tolerate it. They need to be able to say no and say it affirmatively and make sure that this person's going to be held accountable. And also the young men is getting back to, hey, you cross this line, you're going to be involved in a criminal offense, and you can go to jail for a very long time. I think those things being reaffirmed by the university up front and part of the this is incoming issues, just like orientation to a math class. This should be an orientation issue that knows, okay, and we're not going to tolerate. And the second thing is that we need to make sure that the presidents and the chancellor have our support in empowering those police agencies, because it is a law enforcement issue, that once it does happen, stand out of the way and let the police do their job and let them collect the evidence and bring these guys to justice. And, of course, it gets very, very difficult a lot of times to gather evidence in those issues, and there's that struggle. But I believe once everybody knows what the guidelines are and knows what they're expected of them, that I think that one, maybe that will bring somebody's attention to it. But two is, of course, we know when alcohol and drugs are being used in this mix, that complicates the whole situation. But get the police and empower them and say we don't tolerate this, and get involved as much as we can with these kids on the front end, but also on the investigative end. But it's got to be a reminder of value systems and that you just can't go off and do things just because you're not at home.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I feel like some of these university campuses, are basically, it's just like a big spring break destination. There's drugs and alcohol are rampant, all over the campus. And, that's a law enforcement issue just in itself. And then it does bring about these environments where sexual assault can occur. And it's just like we talked about earlier about narcotics. It's kind of that gateway to other criminal activity. And honestly, it's a gateway to other criminal activity on campus. And so it's a law enforcement issue. Look, a kid, I don't care if he's your star athlete or not. He does something wrong. There's a sexual assault allegation. Boom. Turn it over to the authorities. He's got to be investigated. He can't practice. He can't play, bottom line. And get, why do we have to have this whole circus around, what did the president of the university do? And I'm not just talking about Baylor, but, in general. What did the coach do, et cetera? Let's move it on over to the authorities, let them take care of it, and then let the program move on, because what's going on down Baylor is actually hurting their program. I mean, there are athletes that have signed on that now want to back out. Their players that are already there, they want out of there because they don't want to be a part of this storm. They don't want to be associated with what's going on down there.
Absolutely do not want to be associated with that. And Baylor's a fine school and a fine place to be.
Absolutely.
I think, from a distance, Ken Starr's a very respectful guy, and he's an honorable fella. But, we had this at Penn State just a few years ago where a coach was involved in all this and finally got caught. And there were some people turning blind eyes to it, and that's something else that the staff can't do, whether you're a professor or a staff member down there. If you know about something, you need to tell somebody to bring in accountability. And I agree with you is that if it is the star player, we put him on administrative suspension, give him due process, protect his constitutional rights, but protect the rest of the team from him and the rest of the campus.
Absolutely. And I think, look, football is such a huge part of, revenue streams into these universities. Same thing with basketball and some of the other programs depending on the university. And it's all about, protecting the athletes, and trying to keep them out of trouble. But sometimes you just can't keep some of these guys, out of trouble. And honestly, some of the boosters and some of the financial supporters of these programs, are to blame as well. They throw these parties where a lot of times you can't tell if this is just a young co-ed or a working lady of the night. And, that can put these kids in a tough situation. And so I think all around we need to take a look at our universities and say, hey, what are we putting our kids into? What kind of situation we're putting our kids into? We need to protect our athletes, protect the students, and protect the faculty, and let our law enforcement do their job on these campuses so that we have safe environments, safe learning environments, and also safe athletic environments as well. So, Bill Wayburn, it's been, it's been exciting talking to you. It's been a great talk. Hey, congratulations on the runoff win. Best wishes for the campaign moving forward, and finally locking this thing up later in the year. One heck of a campaign. And by the way, Chuck Norris approved, and your list of endorsements is huge. But more important than Chuck, you've got his brother Aaron Norris supports you as well.
I love Aaron, and he's like a brother to me, and he is an incredible producer and director and just a great man.
He is. A lot of people don't know about what he does behind the scenes. The Luttrell brothers, of course, Governor Rick Perry, and but like I said before, you can't have a great campaign without the man in the middle, the man behind it, and that's you. And so, congratulations on the big win.
Thank you so much, and it was great being with you this morning.
Hey, thank you so much. Hope to have you on the show later in the future.
Well, I'm right here for you.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, folks, we were talking with Bill Wayburn, the likely future Tarrant County Sheriff. Just finished winning out against D. Anderson in the runoff, the incumbent, and he'll be going up against the Libertarian candidate later in the year, but likely going to have that all locked up. Folks, Inside Real Estate, sports, entertainment, politics, we got it all. Hey, next Sunday we're back 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., same time every Sunday. Folks, I'm out of here. I'm going on vacation. I'm heading south of the equator. Hope everybody has a great rest of your Sunday out there. Hey, see you next week.